So we start with a story about Seattle's minimum wage, which is being increased up to $15 an hour and is currently at $13. Basically, everyone who passed Econ 101 predicted that this would be a bad move. Now, a study from the University of Washington in cooperation with the city of Seattle and released as an NBER working paper has confirmed that, yes, the laws of basic economics still apply.
Shocking.
They found that there are 6.8% fewer low-wage jobs and that hours for those who still are employed fell 9.4%.
I have some friends over on the Crossroads I debate with from time to time. Shout out to my buddy Pedro and my dog Shepherd. They talk about the risk of automation replacing jobs, and, I wonder why.
Yeah, because according to Say's law, it shouldn't. It just frees up labor resources, and then they can be hired to do other things, just like when automation reduced the number of jobs on the farm, people went and did other things. But when you have, and the study talks about this, when you have something like a minimum wage, it's like, oh, okay, I can't afford to hire these people anymore, so I might as well automate. So they also found a statistical anomaly. They did find a net wage increase of 3.1%, and you bet your bottom dollar they're all going to be pointing at that going, hey, look, see, haha, don't listen to those kooky Austrian economics libertarian people. But despite that, they found that workers making under $19 an hour are earning $125 less per month than they were before. And that's why you need to be careful of these aggregate statistics, because a lot of times they can tell you the opposite of what's really going on. So according to economist Jacob Vigdor, one of the study's authors, quote, "The goal of this policy was to deliver high incomes to people who were struggling to make ends meet in the city. You've got to watch out because at some point you run the risk of harming the people you set out to help." But I do have to throw a brickbat at this 538 article. Listen to this, quote, "Most, though by no means all, past research has found that modest increases to the minimum wage have little impact on employment." Well, guess what? What looks like little impact in the statistical data can have a very real effect on the actual living, breathing people who just lost their jobs. But it really seems like the best the pro-minimum wage side can come up with is little impact.
Well, you know what they say, a million is a statistic.
1 or 2 people die is a tragedy, 1 million people die is a statistic.
And again, it goes into the seen and the unseen. Like, people don't, not quite in the way Bastiat means, but, people don't really see these consequences, so out of sight, out of mind.
Well, I mean, you can if you know what to look for. It's kind of like that first scene in The Hudsucker Proxy when Tim Robbins' character, first gets off the train and goes looking for work, and they all want experience, and of course he doesn't have any because he's just fresh out of college. But that's what you get with things like a minimum wage. When you have that price floor on wages, then you're going to have the experienced people, because it's the experienced people who can demand the higher salary, and the people who are just starting out kind of get left out.
Also, it's really interesting to think about, if you tried to implement a price floor on anything else, people would riot.
Yeah, because they're the ones who would have to pay it. But you see, with minimum wage, someone else has to pay it. The authors concluded, quote, "Prior studies have attempted to analyze minimum wage effects using data resources that do not permit the direct observation of hourly wages. In those situations, researchers resort to using proxies for low-wage workers by examining particular industries that employ higher concentrations of low-wage labor, or by restricting the analysis to teenagers. This paper demonstrates that such strategies likely misstate the true impact of minimum wage policies on opportunities for low-skilled workers. Our finding of zero impact on headcount employment in the restaurant industry echoes many prior studies. Our findings also demonstrate, however, that this estimation strategy yields results starkly different from methods based on direct analysis of low-wage employment." And that's also something you'll see from leftists, because they love focusing on restaurants, but they never seem to want to point out that many restaurant employees, like servers, are exempt from the minimum wage because they get tips.
Oh, yeah.
They also concluded, quote, An elasticity of -3 suggests that low-wage labor is a more substitutable, expendable factor of production. The work of least paid workers might be performed more efficiently by more skilled and experienced workers commanding a substantially higher wage. This work could, in some circumstances, be automated. In other circumstances, employers may conclude that the work of least paid workers need not be done at all. So I really think it's time that people step forward and demanded an end to this psychopathic policy. So I've included a link in the show notes to Downsize DC where you can pass this information from this study on to your congressman.
Here's hoping.